All right, guys. So for our reteaching lesson for today, we're going to be taking a look at mixed numbers and improper fractions. So this was really important in the last unit that we completed where we were adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing with fractions and mixed numbers. Really understanding the relationship between these two types of fractions is important when we were doing adding, subtracting, and multiplying more. Um, it's important to know that both can represent the same exact amount, as well as both of these will give you a value that is greater than a whole. So let's look at some models. So here you can see that I have two fraction circles with some pieces shaded blue. Now, you can see that I definitely have more than one shaded in. So we're going to take a look at the improper fraction value first. So in order to figure out my denominator, I have to look at the type of pieces I have. And I can see that each of these holes are cut into 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. My denominator is 4 and not 8. That's really important to understand. The reason why it's a 4 is because I have to look at one whole circle and look at how many pieces that is broken up into. So for our improper fraction, you can see I have 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, 4/4, 5/4 shaded in. And there's my improper fraction because I have 5 1/4 size pieces shaded. Now for my mixed number, a mixed number is made up of a whole number and a fractional part. So you're going to take a look. How many holes are actually fully shaded in? One hole is fully shaded in. And then on this hole here, you can see that there's only 1/4 shaded in. So this mixed number is 1 and 1/4. All right. So in this example, I want you to think about what I just talked about on the other slide. And I want you to push pause on the video and see if you can come up with what the improper fraction is and the mixed number. All right, so let's take a look at this. I know that in order to find out my denominator, I have to count the number of total pieces there are in a single whole. So I'm going to look at this first circle and I see that there's 1, 2, 3 pieces. That means each of these holes are broken up into thirds. So for my improper fraction, I have to figure the total number of 1/3 size pieces I have. 1, 2, 3/3, 4, 5, 6/3, 7, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are 8 third size pieces or 8/3. For my mixed number, my whole number will be how many total circles I have shaded in. And I can see I have 2 holes shaded in. And then I have 2/3 of that piece shaded in. So 8/3 is equivalent to 2 and 2/3. Both of these represent the same amount that is modeled in this picture. All right, so the last example we're going to take a look at, you can see here. Once again, push pause on the video, figure it out, and then come back and we'll go over it. All right, so again, taking a look, in order to figure out my denominator, I'm going to look at this first circle and count the number of pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So my denominator is going to be fifths because my whole is broken up into 5 pieces. And I can see I have 5 fifths shaded in here, another 5, which is 10, 11, and 12. 12 fifth size pieces or 12 fifths. And then for my mixed number, again, I have 2 holes completely filled in and then 2 out of 5 pieces there. So you should have been thinking 2 and 2/5. All right. So I also really want to focus on how to convert mixed numbers to improper fractions because this came into play when we were doing fraction multiplication. A lot of us struggled with having to multiply a mixed number by a fraction. So I wanted to review this step because it's really important in order to be successful for multiplying. So in order to turn a mixed number into an improper fraction, you can see that I'm starting with 4 and 2/3. thirds. So the first step, I want to multiply my denominator by my whole number. So you can see first I'm going to do 3 times 4, which is 12. But let's talk about why. Over here, you can see that I have these 4 wholes broken up into third size pieces. So there are 12 of them, and that goes back to the modeling that we just talked about. So instead of having to count them all, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, I have repeated addition because I see I have 3, another 3, which is 6, another 3, which is 9, and another 3, which is 12. So that's why I can just do my denominator times my whole number and get 12. But I also have those 2/3 left over, and you can see here, I have 2 out of the 3 total pieces in a whole. So I need to add them to figure out the total number of third size pieces. So in this step, I'm going to add the 2 to the product that I got in step 1. So again, you can see I'm going to do denominator times whole number. I'm going to take that answer of 12 and add it to what I got there in my numerator for 14. And then the last step is the denominator stays the same. So the answer here is 14 thirds. All right. So once again, you can see on this slide, I included the steps at the top, but let's do some together. All right. So I know that in order to change this into an improper fraction, my first step, you can see it right here, is to multiply the denominator by the whole number. So I'm going to do 2 times 2, and I get 4. And then I have to add it to that one additional half piece I have. So 2 times 2 is 4 plus 1 is 5. My denominator stays the same. So I get 5 halves. That's because, again, if you're thinking of that picture, if I have 2 whole circles cut in halves each, there would be 4 halves. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's where that 2 times 2 comes in, plus that additional 1 half for 5 halves. All right, let's take a look at this one here. We'll go right below. Step 1, take my denominator, multiply it by my whole number. 5 times 8 is 40. And then I need to add that 3/5 more. So 5 times 8 is 40 plus 3 makes 43. And the denominator stays the same, so 43/5. I would like for you to push pause on the video now and try the last 2 on your own. And then come back and push play when you're ready. All right. So let's take a look at the first one here. 1 4 6. That means I have 1 whole and I have 4/6 of another whole. So that first step, 6 times 1 is 6, plus the 4 makes 10. My denominator stays the same, 10/6. And the last one, 4, my denominator times my whole number 10. 4 times 10 is 40, plus 2 is 42. And your denominator stays the same, so 42/4. I would like for you to go to the next slide. There is a quick Google form that's just 3 questions just to see how you're feeling and to take a look at how you did with today. So go ahead and complete that form and turn it in. If you haven't tried the estimation activity that's posted on Google Classroom today, go back and give that a shot too. Have a good Wednesday and make sure to email me if you have any questions.